You have people listening from every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so beautifully, so balanced across the planet, on this planet ever. Maybe in the universe. You have the full potential of achieving everything in the universe. There is no need and there is no reason for man not to achieve. So, wherever you are, the way I taught you to make the coils, double coil inside, you have continuous equal gravitational magnetic field, and if you put CO2 on it, and you put zinc on it, you have connected the emotion of the man to it on a stable condition, and you'll find out you become a very peaceful man. Here, instead of having galaxies and universes and creating connection magnetically, we have used the matter state gravitational magnetic field strength to dominate and dictate the shape of the plasma. The nanotechnology, the nanomaterial which you have collectively developed in different ways, by caustic, by electric currents, by whatever, fire or whatever, has that advantage that the matter, the nano and the plasma is all the same. So connection is very solid. Is very strong. The power of the plasma technology, the way we have thought, is beyond imagination of the man. Now you can create and control the plasma, which is the mother of the creation of the universe. You are given the seed of the essence of the creation. The foundation does not belong to no one and is not made of one anymore. You are developing it, you are structuring it, and from today we will be still the same. We'll still develop the technology in different names, in different colors, in different nationalities which they do not exist. It is beautiful when we see the Christian, the Muslims, the Jews, and every other belief are working together to build up systems. We have already become one faith. We already have become one nation, and we already become one planet. You got to remember one thing. Dates is irrelevant. Today is the last day of the Christian calendar, or tomorrow is the beginning of another. One day is connected to another. We don't stop. We are working around the clock. The Keshe Foundation team is working irrespective of time, position, religion, country. And now we achieve what we set out for.
welcome everyone to the 285th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 18th, 2019. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute education, part of the public teaching in English. I'm your host, Rick Crammon, along with Flint Malhausen today. And as always, we are joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's ready to go. And maybe we can get him to sing happy birthday for Carolina sometime.
Oh, it's her birthday tomorrow, but happy birthday. She's been around us with us and she's literally everywhere at the moment. I hope you have a wonderful birthday tomorrow. Not going to be able to be there, but there with the soul. She's put a lot of time and effort in the foundation to be where it is, and she's worked very hard to see a lot of things happening. And in a way, we have managed to achieve a lot, and we have managed to do a lot, and every day there is a good news one way or another. And in so many ways, we have put all our souls together to make the change, bring the change. And now we are getting into what I call the fruit part of the whole work. We see a lot of changes, we see a lot of good news, and the good news does not stop. It's just building up in every direction for a lot of us and for humanity. And in so many ways, I have been rejoicing in past 24 hours that we have achieved, and hopefully we'll see what we promised, the end of wars. Humanity has matured, and it seems for the first time the common sense of peace has prevailed, and we see new movement. We see what we asked for. We see what we promised, that there shall be no more war, and whatever it is we finish with, whatever is lingering in the next 12 months or whatever, humanity will find a solution for it. And the best news we have, and is coming, and as we see it in the progress, is that I have taught you a lot about politics, in the world of politics, about diplomacy, about science and technology and everything else. And if you go back on the teachings of some times ago, as I explained to you, the coincidences are not coincidences. It's set up to be coincidence because people in the public do not understand. But as you are well taught by master of diplomacy in so many ways, you understand what is going on, and we always explain it. We started this bringing the pressures and bringing the change of position regarding what we saw with conflict between the United States and Iran. And there are a lot of coincidences happening. And if you remember when I explained to you, when we were involved with the Northern Ireland peace, when we managed, we agreed, and we delivered the total push. Coincidentally, Clinton happened to be coincidentally on the road. Coincidentally, Jerry Adams happened to walk out of the bakery, and coincidentally they met each other. And coincidentally they shook hands, and we saw the completion of the peace talks. And we all know what led to that coincidence. That coincidence needed a shock to the whole of British, what we call monarchy. If you remember, some years before, Lord Mountbatten, the great uncle of Queen, was blown up in so many ways. That did not shake. What came that it brought the shake was bombing of Manchester. Those of you who can't remember or you were not there, it devastated the whole city center of one of the major cities of England. And Irish showed they have a power. If they don't get there, the Vatican will push further. And the whole peace process on talk started after that bombing. And when we confirmed everything was in position, the British government submitted to the will of the Vatican, and the envoy of Vatican shook hand with Jerry Adam on the street. That was a peace shake hand. That was the end of all wars, and we saw it progressively. We have had none, and we have managed to achieve long-lasting peace. Even the problem with European separation of Britain has now managed to break that peace, and they're fighting to be together and be one. But what is interesting is another coincidence has happened. And as the bombing of the Manchester, the second bringing of the drones by the Iranians after the Americans promised to bring everything a cyber attack on Iran showed the Americans did not have the technology to do, and there was nobody to support. And coincidentally, Japanese president went to Tehran, and coincidentally, on the 16th of May, they came to understand what was the wishes of America. And coincidentally, on 17th of May, His Excellency, or his, we have to call him Excellency because he is a Iranian foreign minister, Nazif, happened to meet with him in Tehran, and the next day on the 17th in Beijing with the Chinese government. And all the plans, as we said, set for peace. And in a way, it's thanks to the leadership of President Xi. We saw immediately after that his trip to China, to North Korea, brought the shake hand of the North Koreans and the President Trump. And now, coincidentally, now knowing the Americans cannot do much with all the planes they have now across the, what we call the Persian Gulf, coincidentally, Iranian, again, His Excellency President Mr. Sharif Nazif is in New York today. And we will see, coincidentally, some discussions has started, and the peace plan is on its way. And coincidentally, the President Trump will be in Tehran as we wished, as a sign of end of wars. This is very harsh for American administration, but it's the only way. He has appointed one of his trusted men to negotiate with Nazif while he's in New York, coincidentally addressing the United Nations. And Iran's position is very clear. We will hold to our nuclear industry. We develop nuclear industry for peaceful application and its depth. The agreement is very simple. Iran becomes a fuel supplier in the nuclear industry when it's needed, as is part of the bargain. We will keep our nuclear industry producing nuclear materials below 3.6 agreement, but as a supplier, not for test reasons. So we achieved what we came to. This is one of our conditions. The other conditions, which is clear from the Iranian side, is we will develop a massive space technology, most advanced technology, but this time we will share as our siblings with the United States, China, and Russia. And this will give a lot of strength to all of us. As you understand, there is no more war. As we said, that was the end of war. Syrian war and what we saw, all in what we saw, Saudi Arabia is finished. And in so many ways, we have entered the phase of peace. It's going to be some doing. It's not going to be so easy. One of the instructions which Mr. Nazif carries on behalf of the Iranian leadership is His Excellency President Trump is invited to Tehran. We are not like Koreans to see our guests at the door of the house. We invite our guests into our house. This is the way the Iranian nation is. I explained a few weeks ago that President Trump will be invited to Tehran, and this is one of the prerequisites to completion of the wars. The reason for this is if President Trump does not come to Tehran, he will not have enough time next year, and it cannot be used as a key winning because it will be too late, and we will see two ladies who will head for the White House.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe. We're not hearing you right now. Still not. Okay, bear with us a minute while Mr. Keshe reconnects. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me now?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you keep talking there? Make sure it's clear.
Yes, no problem. There's a lot of people do not like for this to go out because it was supposed to be all coincidental accidents. I don't know which way you heard. Where did you hear up to what point?
Just the last.
You're talking about that
Pardon?
if
Go ahead.
President
Pardon?
Trump didn't come to Iran, then two ladies would come into the White House.
Yeah, okay. So what is this going to be that we're going to have two ladies who, when they come to the White House, they will go to Iran, as we respect women deeply in Iran. And they will receive a better reception than a man will do. But I don't think he's going to leave it to them. And in so many ways, we see the peace completed. The only thing is left, if one of the biggest concern would be that we can handle the dividend of peace. The dividend of peace, how America is going to handle so many defense technology which is built up, so many soldiers to go back home, and would it carry on creating endless employment? The beauty is that part of this peace dividend will create more jobs again in the United States. In due course, I'll explain how and why. And in that process, we will see what is on recommendation already written papers for. 4 people have been nominated for what we call the Nobel Prize. His Excellency President Xi of China.
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, can we get a microphone adjustment there, perhaps?
Yes, is it better now?
Yes, much
Yeah.
better. Thank
You
you.
were supposed to go voice, box. So, in that process, we see, as I said, His Excellency President Xi of China to be nominated for Peace Prize, Nobel Prize. This time will be quadrupled. In a way, the American President, His Excellency President Trump, the Indian President Rouhani, and Mr. Zarif will be nominated for Nobel Peace Prize.
Voice again. It's breaking up, Mr. Keshe. We're not hearing you clearly.
So, a lot of people don't like you to hear me clearly. That's the problem.
Yes.
This information was not to be going out till accidentally a lot of people meet. But the reason we release it is that we do not let the course changes. We keep everything on track. The Iranian administration is a peaceful administration, but carrying a technology for Iran is the right of Iran in space, in nuclear or anything else, as is for America and other countries. I would like to thank the Iranian administration in the request not to go up, and what was in the contract had to be kept, and we've seen this peace dividend. And in so many ways, what are we going to do with mankind? What's the next step for us? Where and how we're going to handle such a gift? Are we in position to understand that peace is part of the life of the universe, and would we embrace it? And would this be at the level that we all collectively strive to achieve and keep and hold, and become wise to what we call devious actions, or people who would like to benefit by selling things, by providing things, be it arms, be it drugs, be it anything else. Our problem is immense now that we have entered this phase. the unemployment in Western Europe will rise drastically. This is one of the things we have in mind. The unemployment in many countries who are geared up into war and military will suffer heavily. But what our nations are going to do, what our citizens are going to do, how are we going to achieve and hold on to this proposition we have created? How are we going to stay and keep track that we don't fall back into the bad habits? What are we going to generate to guarantee a continuous, what I call business, to keep humanity busy? Are we going to culture into a space? Are we going to extend our understanding into looking after everything which we've done wrong for past centuries and trying to put everything right? Be it the oceans, be it what we have polluted, be it our extent of not, we have not realized what we've done with ourselves on this planet. The future is bright. What we see is an extensive change of position. It's extensive delivering of knowledge and technologies. We expect China and Iran and Russia to take lead because America has bogged down with a lot of things to hold on to the past, and that has slowed them down. We expect to share knowledge rapidly in the coming time and technologies in the space program with all the nations and in other aspects. When we set out to do things, we made a lot of progress. Humanity always has progressed in peacetime. We've seen it with nations like China, we've seen it with nations like Russia. In the past 20 years or 40 years at peace, they have spent, developed and nourished their nations. We've seen the rapid development. And maybe some of these nations need to look for new jobs, new conditions. Maybe serving our nations become more important than doing other things. That is the price of peace. This is what we need to do. And as I said, Keshe Foundation is on the move in a rapid way. You know, we announced our development in China. You know, we announced our development in United States and what we've seen in Europe. One of these, what I call development and growing of the technology, is that now we have entered massive steps in China and gradually around the world. One of these steps is we are looking now for between around about 6 to 10 doctors, medical doctors on a full pay from sometimes around September to join us as a Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers who understand the world of the medicine in China to be part of a clinical trial. We want you to supervise. We want you to see and teach other scientists. And in this process, which is now getting negotiated to complete very soon, we looking for knowledge seekers, doctors to spend maybe 3 months, 6 months in China. You learn firsthand and you teach the other doctors. And these are clinical trials of 1,000 each. So maybe we increase the numbers to 20 doctors. If you're a medical doctor, you have and you want to serve humanity into the next steps of understanding new technology and sharing the knowledge, please contact the webmaster. Only medical doctors. You have to be certified medical doctors. We will teach you what it needs to be done and you will spend in one of the most prestigious hospitals in China. There is 2 trials, 1,000 each. There's another trial, third trial will be. And we need you to be there to add to the knowledge. We need you to be there that we can learn as much as you can share. One of the conditions is you don't hold back any knowledge to teach. Because the doctors you teach in these hospitals, then in the following months will go to the further hospitals to teach themselves. The process has started, and to set up these kind of clinical trials in such a scale is not easy. We have a good trustable team. We have the doctors we rely on and we trust. And in so many ways, this is the first international cooperation between China and the world of medicine. We bring you in. You enter China under the being a doctor, and you're here for participating in work. And our Chinese colleagues will have to sort everything out. Your visa and everything else. And this allows us to start further trials in the coming time. We might have something like 10 to 15, maybe more trials on different sides of the scientific application of the technology in medicine. And this is important for all of us. We have totally, I hear voice, I don't see voice. Is the voice better?
What's that? Hello?
Is the voice better?
Keep talking. Let's see.
Oh my God, you keep me talking. Okay,
I've got two voices now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it better?
Yes, that's
okay.
much
We
better.
have systems, so we can switch once we lose one. We try to keep the other one going.
There's an echo still, I think, there.
Where?
Okay, we're good now.
It's not mine. Yeah. So in that process, we looking, well, if you are a doctor, medical doctor, and you want to participate, we need some of our Chinese doctors who are familiar with the Keshe Foundation. We promise you, we will bring you in. Now it's time to come in. We know there are 2 or 3 who might collaborate, who might have the time to spend time to teach other Chinese doctors and plus learn themselves for the next step. And whoever join us and would like to stay with the program, you become part of the hierarchy structure of the delivery of the technology into Chinese medical application. We expect to learn more from the Chinese on the what we call Chinese traditional medicine to incorporate it with the work of the Keshe Foundation. Initially, we go through the passage and then what we call the path which we have, and then we develop it step by step over time. We have a very competent team who has taken over the whole what we call clinical trials. You got to realize these things takes a lot of effort to organize. It's not going to be so easy, but somewhere from September, if you are a medical doctor, please send your what I call interest that you want to be part of it, that you can join us as part of the Keshe Foundation as a consultants to the what we call research team and what we call clinical team, that then you can take the knowledge back with you that you can share with other hospitals outside China. In a way, as I said, we make China a center of excellence for medicine, space, and other aspects. And this is the beginning of the setting up of that center of excellence. And step by step, we're developing it, and we have a good team with us. And in that process, we are starting very, very small. We started with literally 2 patients and 2 doctors and a team of Keshe Foundation solidly being there every day, showing the progress, showing the change can be made. Now we're going to the next step now, and then most probably we'll carry on with expanding in a very, very direct and fast track. But what this will involve is that you work with the Chinese doctors on equal basis, and as much as you learn, you teach. And I've been to one of these hospitals in the past couple of weeks. Is absolutely dream of every European American hospital to have such a hospital. Extremely advanced and one of the best. And the beauty of it is they have plenty of cases that they can accommodate 10 times what we can. And this is good for us. We learn, we might extend the numbers to more than 1,000 as we develop and see the success or the failure, and where we fail, where we succeed. In this process, most probably we will ask the permission from the Chinese authorities to allow what we call people who are sick in that field to enter China for the process, that we can show internationally the technologies on the trial. You can come in. The beauty with this trial is before and after is that you pay for your process. It's very simple. You pay to the Chinese hospitals or authorities as it is. And this process is that we don't drain and everybody knows what's happening. And in that process, we will go step by step. All of us will learn in the world of medicine. And it's done by the most elite, what we call academicians in Chinese, which means that the elite scientists are the top doctors. And they will follow, and they are responsible for it. We are observers. We are observers as the technology is developed, how they use it, how we see it, and we are there to recommend, and the doctors will take step by step according to the way they see fit. We are not involved in any shape or form in application of the technology as a doctors or medicine, but we are introducing technology for it to be tested. In this way, I think we congratulate the work of the Keshe Foundation China. So being there and its different steps, we all have participated to see it through. And in the coming time, we'll announce further more developments and furthermore what I call progress from different part and aspects of the Keshe Foundation technology and the rest. We're nearing our promise and what we started around 2 years ago in China, the establishment of the Universal Council, 2nd of August in 2 weeks' time. And we hopefully hear by that time good news that it shows establishing such an organization has started changing the position. And it's very interesting for all of us to understand how this will change us, how we will see a lot of changes, positive changes for all of us, and how we'll go to the next step. One of the best things we will see, it will be what we call the final phase of what we call Palestinian situation. It's been dragging too long, and we have to forgive and forget for whatever wrong whoever has done, and start building a sense that we can live together, even be part of. We don't need to be separate because now we are all one nation. In the same process, what we see a lot of other things which is wrong with a lot of nations with each other or respect to each other will become, as we call, a laughing stock. How did we behave? How were we so bad that we behaved this way? I'm sure in the coming time, mankind will not show any movie of the wars to no one because he'll be ashamed of such acts that man's was so barbaric. And we'll see development. We see it coming up. And as I said, we promised the end of wars and we see it. It did not happen. Whatever was planned is our wish and is our command that there shall be no more war. And whatever it is, we end up, but how we end up will become very important to all of us. Then we have to concentrate on the next step. What is the menace into the world of the mankind? What is the creator of a lot of conflicts and breakdowns, as I said, in respect to the drugs? Keshe Foundation will release a dynamic system to overcome all drug addiction. And this will be tested in China in the coming time. With the support of our medical team, will release a new technology that any man can walk away from any drug addiction. In a way, we strengthen the soul of the man that does not accept the drugs. We are not fighting it. This is not the way it's done. We know the weakness in the structure of the body of the man. We know how some of us can never touch drug, and some of us can never get addicted, and some of us get addicted to it. And I have personally developed the technology to deliver this in so many ways. Then we end up with all the drugs. If the time comes that a person wants or is needed as a pain release, as anything else, we can choose, as world of medicine does, to end up pains, but not as drugs. And this is important for many of us to understand. We are not going to fight with drug barons and create mayhem. We strengthen the direction of the soul and the body of the man in a proper condition. That body does not see need, or think about need of it. In a way, we create a market has no need for. And even if you give, drug to has no effect. As you know, when the two snakes fight, they never bite each other because they both carry the antivenom of what they have with each other. If you've seen two snakes fighting, they beat each other's head or the body because the venom doesn't work. And we do the same. Drug will not, there is no need, there is no reaction, there is no craving for it. The technology in that respect is complete, and it's already been put aside that in case something happens to me or to whatever, technology will be released directly into public. But we are going through the process. We are not fighting drug violence. That fighting takes too much energy. We are strengthening the soul of the man, even with nicotine addiction, even with any kind of addiction. And this will develop to a massive progress. And it will surely come from the center of excellence of the Commission of China. As I told you, we spend all our efforts with Chinese scientists to develop everything. China will become, like Iran, the center of excellence. Iran will become center of excellence for space development. China will become the center of excellence for other aspects. And in that progress, we make sure the nations who always try to dominate and enslave the others will never reach that point that they have the power to do so. This is part of the whole structure. We keeping those who cannot handle the joys of peace arm length of hurting themselves. So there won't be any more what we call commonwealth. It'll be one world, which is all of us. And in that process, we make sure what is the next step for all of us after. Now we have handled the what we call the warmongering. Then very soon we handle the drug mongering. And then there is no addiction. They can produce as much as they like. When it doesn't affect, I have no needs for it. It'll be released as part of the process in the water systems in most of the nations. In a way, by drinking, you make yourself immune to it. That's simple. And in a way, you reach the point of very much all of us who cannot even sitting next to a drug man, we never touch. And this is the process we need to do. So the next step for us is the release of this technology in a way that as part of the development of the medical aspects, the health aspect of the Keshe Foundation will come to our health center through Austrian manufacturing. Anything to do with the health of the Keshe Foundation will come through Austria. This is how we made Austria the center of the health section and development. And in that process, we release in a very short time one of the leading factories in Europe, in Austria. The plan is well set, and we'll see it to complete in the coming time. In that process, we will end up with the next step where humanity needs to go. What does humanity need to understand about himself, about this environment, about how we handle things, where we come from? In the teachings in the Persian language on Monday, I explained something which I explained some times ago, but many people did not understand. And yesterday in another private teaching, I explained it in a very simple way. In my teachings, we started with the matter. And in so many ways, as we spoke about the matter and breakup of the matter, we came to understand more and more about how the structure of the matter can be utilized to create what we call separation of the matter compounds, as we call the molecules, into the atomic. And in so many ways, as we went through the process of the structure, I don't like it in lights. As we went through the structure of the molecules, we became into the nanomaterial. And as we came into the nanomaterial, we led ourselves to become part of what we call a plasma, or what we call to us a gas. But in that process of making gas, we created fields. And in that process of creating fields, we came to a source where the fields come from. Up to now, we have taught you up to here. Now you can mix some gases together, some fields together, and go back to matter. But what you got to understand, the world of creation started this way, not this way. In the interaction of the fields of the universe with each other, they created the plasma. And in the condition of the plasma, in the atmospheric condition of the environment, we created the matter. But the most beautiful thing to ask, where the teaching of the Keshe Foundation technology is going, we are teaching you from now on to go this way. Up to today, you are here. But as we say, as the rays came in to make the plasma, where did the ray come from? And as we have managed to create rays from the matter, and now we are going in the step where the ray comes from. As is the part of the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, the ray comes from one source, the Creator. If you go back to my teaching of some times ago, I always promise you, I'll take you to see your Creator. And this is what it is. If mankind understands now that he's achieved world peace, and peace on this planet to be structured, now that we have brought you to the dimension of understanding the soul of yourself, which is a plasma, now through the same direction, we take you to what created this plasma to start with, which in due course, for those who elevate their souls, will come to understand as a ray, will go back to where we started. The process has not been to go from plasma or energy to matter state. The whole process has been to be able to go the full cycle. In so many ways, the process is about its completion. To you, it did not. You could not understand why and how, but now you understand what I said. It's on the logo of the Keshe Foundation. It says, where the science meet the soul of the man. I made man in the image of myself. And where the science will take the soul of the man to meet his creator. This is the process. As you understood that your soul was collection of the fields of the, what they call eternity of the physicality of the man. Now you understand the soul was created from the rays of cosmos. And the rays of cosmos does not matter in one universe you are, always came from the creator. And now it's for man to understand this process. That's how I told you it's the biggest peace dividend mankind will ever receive. And so, in a coming time, in a step-by-step process, I will take you to meet your Creator. Then it's your responsibility, when you prepare to be part of it, to radiate, to go through the whole cycle, where you carry the soul of the Creator to be in every created things in the universe. And this is the total. I told you, when we reach mankind to the total peace, which we see now has started, we are preparing you not for the spaceship to go across the universe, not to travel with your soul, but to understand your soul has the essence of creation in the center of it, what we call the physical matter, that is in the strength of the soul of the Creator. If you understand in a very simple language, if this is the soul of the Creator and this is the soul of the man, if you remember, we always said what comes out of one, it goes back to. And it always comes out of a ray, not in the shape of plasma. And it's for mankind to understand this process of development from now on. Not to be trapped in the understanding of the world of cosmology or planet or the universe, but to understand in reaching the Creator, you carry the totality and you decide. This is the job of us as universal messengers, to show the man the full cycle, as we showed from matter to energy and back to. What I call the majority of the soul of the man is not in energy, and is not in the writing of the prophets, transmutation of element, in understanding the transmutation of the soul of the man to the soul of the Creator. Now you understand what is ahead of mankind. In so many ways, you do the soul searching. Where is inner me that I can become inner of him? What has created me that I can feed him, that through feeding him, he feeds me, to be able to create a condition that I create a peace world. And this is important for the souls which have been created on this planet. As they suffered and they know the pain of war, they make sure that no wars will happen anywhere. Mankind has been put through a test to mature him to understand the pain and suffering of wars and destruction. And in that process, we bring man to the point of understanding. The whole purpose of the teachings in past years is to go back to. And in so many ways, if you understood all my teachings from the beginning, I always said, book number 8 will be about magnetic fields. And book number 9 will be about the soul. And mankind was waiting to understand about the soul of himself. But in reality, it's I should take you to see, to show you the soul of the Creator, which in that process, as a man, you will understand the process of the teaching of the whole of the Keshe Foundation. When I said write book number 9 about the soul, it wasn't about the soul of the man. Far from it. But as mankind thinks he's the best and he has everything, he thought, most of you thought that this will be it. But through the teaching, as I told you, I brought you through the magnetic fields, book number 9. I started with the matter book, the light, the universe, and everything else which has come here. I teach you about the magnetic field, and that magnetic field is exactly where it takes you to the soul and the soul of your Creator. Because you came this way. It's the first time I show you what the way back home. And all my books from the beginning were set up to do this. But I could not explain. Mankind was not ready for it 10 years ago. Mankind is not ready, was not ready for it even a year ago. We have taught, we elevated the soul of man, and now we see we have achieved the point. So the promise of peace is that mankind will reach his creator and not for looking for a job. The job of man is to understand, to collectively, to educate itself, to find the path to the creator. Now that you have understood the creation of the plasma, the creation of understanding the soul of yourself, and just before teachings, I said something to Rick. We have a cell phone, now we have a soul phone. That through your soul, you find your path to your creator. There is no telephone lines and there is no GPS to get in touch with the creator. But within the soul of the man, there is a direction and there's a strength, which is the same strength as the creator. And as you know, you cannot go anywhere in the world of the magnetism unless you find the right fields. And in so many ways, it's not progressive development. This is a conclusive development. Now we are getting to the conclusion of the life of the man on this planet. As I said in the past, if you listened, we said we use this planet as a nursery of souls, that energies can be there to feed, to be the connection, to be the line of the start of a new cycle of life. Because if you understood the progress, you can stop anywhere in any lines, be it in the dimension of the soul of the man, be it in the dimension of material state, or be it in any position in the universe. The journey, the true journey of man starts from now on, that the man has achieved peace. And that is the next journey, to reach, to understand the strength of the soul of the man, that mankind can take the step on their own decision to reach the soul of the creator. That's the most beautiful thing any ray can achieve, not the soul. To become part of, to be radiated back out of, to give more. You carry the same knowledge. The fields in essence in the center always has its own principle energy. So when as a ray you leave the soul of the creator, you carry the knowledge of the universe, which is gathered by it, through it, within it, to become another part of the creation, to serve, to be in a way equal, and understand that like the rays of the sun, they shine on everything equal. You are part of that ray to shine the beauty of the creator. It's a pleasure to be in this point, and in so many ways, it's a pleasure to understand, to mature to this reality. And in so many ways, I am the creator, as I come from the creator. As creator is within me, as I am within the creator. When you see in your way of understanding, we never knew, as they said, and I said in a very recent teaching, that what is magnetical and what is gravitational, because we did not know that it's the same fields, but it gathers some more fields to itself to reach, to come out. And in so many ways, when the soul of the man reaches to become, it gathers some of the fields, some of the attributes of the Creator that in turn will become to create the cycle. Some of you might ask, what is the purpose of this? What is the beauty of this? Do we need to go through this? And in so many ways, where is the beginning? Where is the end? Fortunately, I have a good news for you, and unfortunately, I have a very bad news for you. The good news is, it is what it is. The bad news is, it'll never end. And in so many ways, what would we achieve as a human race? The only thing that we achieve is that we become, in so many ways, mature. That now we can choose. The option is ours to become, take a direct trip to the soul of the Creator, or take your time, spend a few more years, have a space around, go see how the things interact. Somebody call it the Niagara Fall, somebody call it the Ring of Saturn and everything else, and see all the beauties of the creation when the fields of the Creator interact. Otherwise, it's a beautiful journey. And in so many ways, have made it so many times that it's just a habit. You know how to go home. And now that I've completed my cycle, it's time to go home. There are no regrets. I try to teach you more, to just keep you busy, that you don't fight each other. I try to teach you more, that you don't suffer, be it a cancer or be it something else. In the world of creation, accidents always happen, but they have reason for it. And most of it depends what mankind will make to his own benefit. We have never seen banks, and we have never seen hotels, and we never seen anything which mankind has made for himself up to them. But in this process, we seen one thing, and that is, mankind is matured enough now to take the step, to move out of the cradle and join the mother, the Creator. How we develop the technology we will not stop teaching. We will not stop letting you to develop new concepts, new ideas, because these become part of the memory of the fields of the Creator. And in the progress of one learns, everybody else enjoys the learning. In so many ways, there are enough knowledge seekers to be able to teach, to share, and in the coming time, will teach immensely that the gathering of the knowledge will speed up the process of everything else to make life as comfortable as possible on this planet. But in that process, nothing is granted. You can't take the beauty and the peace for granted. You have to work at it. You have to develop it. You have to make sure that in every dimension of the creation is paramount. That there is no conflict, be it in the interaction of the fields, or be it in what we call the process of the understanding of the totality. What will come to most of you to understand is that a lot of you have not understood the power, the strength, and the essence of the creation of your own physicality. A lot of you talk about it so casually. That is one of the biggest fear I have. Soon you're gonna miss the train. You're so attracted to the big that what is the creation of itself, you miss. In most of my teachings, very, very casually, you refer to it and you walk away from it without understanding it, without, in a way, comprehend what it can do for you, what it can do to you. It's become something that it's the habit of mankind looking for the big thing, that tiny thing, which is the essence of the whole big thing, has been overlooked. What is important in most of the work you do, many of you, majority of you speak about it and walk away from it because to you is something belongs to planet Zeus, nothing to do with it. But from now on, if you are in a path to elevate your soul, you have to, you have no choice. It's part of what you have ignored. In the essence of its creation is the soul of the man. And none of you understood. None of you have come to comprehend its potential and its power. If you look in all the processes, you always made the gas. And in all the processes, you made the salt water. But what you have not understood, you ignored this guy, what we call it, amino acid. Be it the CO2, be it whatever, whatever. But what is the amino acid? It's the essence of creation of you. And how can your soul memorize what was here that you actually forgot we were teaching here? Many of you, when we ask and we talk about the soul of the man, or element, blah, 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 you don't go to the periodic table, and I just laugh. I said, these people are missing it. Your amino acid is the beginning of the soul of the man, and how so many of you have ignored it. You mix the zinc and the copper and blah, 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 blah. That should be the soul of the man. But the soul of the man sits here. It's already established in the hand of the man. It's a living thing. It's the plasma of the creation which created you. You got to understand you were too busy to see big amount of ganses, and you missed the little boy who can show you the way out. Many of you have developed technologies and mixed everything else, and is this the soul of the man? Is it my soul? And I say, my soul, they don't understand. And I promise you, 99% of you from tomorrow only work on this one because you want to get to your soul. But understand how you do it. Understand what is the reason of it. Now that you have become peaceful creatures, we can show you peaceful ways of the truth about the knowledge. Then you need gans of CO2. Do you need gans water, plasma water of Zeta? And I play the game because this is what you want to be. And we had to keep you busy till we achieve our peace goal. Now, as I said, through the understanding of the days and his rays, I'll take you to see your creator. Many of you have not understood, and many of you, you're so busy copying that never could understand. I'm not after anything, but I'm after the development of the soul of the man, and the basic block of the soul of the man sits on top of your gas waters. And you have all ignored it. Because the illusion of a maglev system or a flight was much bigger than understanding the flight of the soul of the man. You keep on saying, our body is made of DNA, and the DNA in essence is the amino acid. And if we have a DNA, we must have a soul, which is creating it. And you keep on missing what's on top of your box. Now, would you like me to show you what it can do? Would you like to go dimension of the flight of the soul of the man? Or would you like to go dimension of the flight of UFO of the man? Now you understand. Now you come to comprehend. I could have told this 10 years ago. But as I said, when we see the peace, establishment, first steps of peace, we will give the man this freedom. It's not a carrot on stick. It's a path to the Creator. Because the field which has created this itself is a plasma, and in the strength, in essence, as ray to what has created life, which is the Creator. Now make ganses, but understand what you make. And when you do not get baffled by what we put in there as a magician to distract you, not to see the reality of the magic. Some of our doctors very recently, past year, have started playing with it, but they don't understand it really. But we amino acid into it. But as they're so physical, they could not take that next step. The next step that they could go through the full amino acid, that is plasma creation, to create the balanced soul of the man and the creator. But you will not achieve this till your soul is sincere in the direction of the creator. Just because you have a car doesn't mean you can drive. Then you know how we sit in every meeting of the world leaders. We sit with their souls, and the physicality work goes through CNN. We dictate the news. Anything he says and it happens. But in that process, we had to push mankind to the limit that in totality stops the process. And in this process, in so many ways, we still eat tomorrow, we teach the day after, we still take our travels, we still find a path of being sick because we haven't learned that the process of life is the simplicity to find the path of the Creator. And now mankind for the first time has been shown the path. In the vocabulary of man, there is no word of because man was never aware of my existence. Call you God, call you Creator, but they don't understand the totality of the being as one. In the coming time, we still build the factories to keep mankind busy. We still will sell shares in the stock exchange of America before it falls to pieces by shaking off his own self to the ground. We still develop systems and technologies that mankind can stand volcanic eruptions from the shaking of the knees of this planet. But at the end, the whole universe has the volcanic eruptions of its fields. The whole universe has its shaking. But mankind, due to his lack of knowledge, has never understood. Now you understand. The only thing is, on the way, the path to your Creator, be careful you do not shake. And in that path, you shall not steal from oneself first. You cannot steal from yourself joy. You cannot steal from yourself happiness. You cannot steal from yourself justice. And you cannot steal from yourself understanding that the most paramount, most important things for man, as the soul of the man, is to reach the soul of the Creator. And in this process of teaching over years, I have taught you everything. If you understand this, if you understand the process, you understand that the soul of the Creator is not one amino acid. Then a lot of you start mixing a lot more. But don't forget, in that teaching, I have hidden something more because you're not even ready for that process yet. My job when I accepted this mission was to succeed. Failure was no option. And in so many ways, I have succeeded. I have made you to put so much gases in the waters, but you didn't see that you're actually putting amino acids to change. The Japanese came and they stored it, and they nourished the oceans with the radiation from Fukushima with amino acid of it, while they were stealing the white gold, they thought, from the cesium reactors and the water tanks of the Fukushima. We use them to attain our wish. And in so many ways, we let the man play, because while he's busy, we can do our work. We don't create conditions, but the conditions created we use for the advantage of what we want to achieve. You got to understand, when you listen to my teachings, when you go back lesson by lesson, try to see what is behind the knowledge and not what's on the screen of the knowledge. Man should never be afraid of death. He has to rejoice it, as it takes man one step closer to the Creator. If he has found the path, do and through the time of his life on this planet or any other dimension in the universe. Try, when you go through understanding of the process, register that knowledge within the soul of the man, not within the memory of the mind of the man. And that will carry with you when you travel the spans of universe as a ray, be it as part of going in to see the Creator or part of leaving the Creator to become the creator of others. The knowledge within the soul of the man is not and does not belong only to this planet, as I taught past couple of weeks. The knowledge which you receive, as much as you receive, as I said, 80% of your life existence through the space, where do you think the ray has come from the space? Where do you think you receive this? Through the dimension of the soul of the man. What you have as DNA, as part of the earth, is nothing to compare to what the universe feeds you with the soul of the Creator. You are showered by it, but you have never seen it because you never thought, am I? Could I? Do I deserve to be? Even the mankind does so much horrible thing. You see, when the ray goes to the earth, has no choice but to live with what the earth has given it and has to release to take. One of the things that is extreme, putting it, if you understand it, if this is the man, and if this is the universal energy, what the man gives from his soul, you can see what it takes in from totality. What you produce in you and what is produced within him is added to, and you become, you receive in totality what is the Creator. And so the fields of the universe in creating man adds to the knowledge of the man. But in that part, mankind has chosen to be blind. Because mankind has two souls, and unfortunately, this is what mankind has not seen. The soul of the physicality and the soul of the man itself. And in part, these two collectively come to be, and they receive partially of the both. Very heavy today, isn't it? wonder how many of you have tried to understand how close you are to it. If you have tears in your eyes, you are near to understand it. And if it's been a word to you, it means you got a long way to go yet to mature. A good thermometer to understand how much you have come close to understand your own creator. As the emotion is not the exclusivity of the man, as the creator has to say. Has been many long time for mankind and its being. In so many ways, as I said, mankind moves towards peace, we reward it with peace. Now is the time for the peace of the soul of the man, as the physicality gradually, in time, now that there is no more wars, would lead to that direction. In so many ways, the soul of the Iranian leadership is blessed soul, that they kept to the ethos of peace and to the promise of Zoroaster. And this is why we bless the nation with the creator of the creation. It's time for mankind to move on. And in so many ways, in the small time of the man, you call it 50 years or 100 years, which is a fraction of nothingness in the work of the universe, man will take the direction and the work of the peace. We try to find a less painful way in this time of transition. We have seen the problems of defeat, we have seen the dividend of peace, whatever you want to call it, be it after Vietnam War or be it during the time of European unification as well. One was because of the shame, one had to move people out of position, back home, and one kept them home, but found a solution that in the resolution of that, they should have found a path for peace for the rest of humanity, but they chose it to use, make, develop arms to control and in a way colonization by arms. For this we shall punish European nations heavily in coming time. The punishment is not by whatever you're used to. The punishment is that, as we said, shall be no punishment. We make it enough for human race in these places to sit and think, what did we do wrong? After the Second World War, we gave it a chance and we blew it. This time we shall not. On the other hand, all the humanity has made so much mistakes that we have to punish the whole of humanity, and then the planet Earth will suffer with it. So, in a way, we have forgiven, but we do not forget. Now, in a very simple way, I've taught you one of the most important things about all your physical education about the amino acid. Try to comprehend it because there is a secret message behind it. There is a path in way which you can touch the whole of soul of humanity if one of you reaches that point. I'm not a human, so it cannot do that, otherwise I would have done it a long time. I can wait and have the patience of billions of years. A few years here till you find out as a totality, there's not much. I just got to keep on busy with developing and teaching some Chinese, making something else, and trying to get the Americans to be busy with the pink shit and something else with the green blood ones, and carry on with the same. But what I've taught will become the cornerstone of the knowledge of the man, the universe, if you decide to be a sightseer and get back home slowly. Those of you who want to be on jumbo jets and get home quick, I have shown you the path of return. And those of you who want to be on the back of a donkey and go sightseeing and go to the other planets and then one day find a way out of this universe and then get lost in another one and somewhere in between you might find by accident, you can take all paths you like. The choice is yours. The beauty with this travel is there is no ticket to sell. I hope you reach us fast. I hope you reach the soul of the Creator to be with us fast. But that is totally up to you and how hurry you are to become the Creator than being created and be on the path of enjoying time, which is the right of every man. As I said when I met Caroline the first time, I said we come to this planet to enjoy the dimension of physicality and understand it. Physical life is beautiful, but you cannot be always on holidays. Even sometimes it turns up to a torture. But in so many ways, as I said, one of the advantages of the present situation, what we see, kingship shall never return to the land of the kings of Europe. And that will be for the rest of this planet, as all men are equal and no one is above. Many shall try, but they will not work. And those who came and decided to be on the same path, they'll find out very soon on the elevation of understanding, they will step down themselves, as they'll find out leadership of a man has become by the elevation of the soul of the man by one, and not by the force of the man. Try to understand, go back on all the teachings, what you missed, and in that process, which path you want to go. You have come to the station of life. How would you like to take the trip back to the Creator? At the station, you have a train, the bus, the taxi, the aeroplane, and it's one's choice. When you land in the airport, you have the plane, you have a bus, you have a taxi, you can walk, you can get train. Now man is at that point. But all at either end you come on or come out, you end up home. And the home of the man is at this station, which means of transportation man uses to reach home from the station. The decision is man's. You want to walk it, you understand the work of your soul. You want to fly it, we have given you the UF. You want to go by train and by bus, we have given you the magnet, the energy system and everything else. You'll be very busy. It's a beautiful Lego that you have to put together for a long time. Those of you who want to be the sightseer, you're quite welcome. At the end of the day, your time is numbered. And how much knowledge you gather in the ray of return, what you will teach more. Many of you have asked, is mankind has come from another planet and is from somewhere introduced? The answer is yes, you came from the ray of the soul of the Creator, and that ray carries all the information which is gathered by all the souls of all the created things in the past time from the beginning of times. But mankind only remembers the planet Earth because that's how you've been caged. Now that we open the universal dimension to you. When you travel in the dimension here, you say, oh, I've been here before, I've seen this, because it's in the soul of the way of the Creator, not in the line of memory of the man and his matter state dimension of the strength of his soul. Now, my children, play. At the end, all come home. Try to understand the essence of teaching. Try to understand the true meaning and don't get baffled by my teachings in diverting your attention. The diversion was for you to understand your weaknesses. And in so many ways, now that you have understood your weaknesses, you are strong enough to be. Never be afraid of death, because nothing ever dies. It's just a state of different ways of radiating the lights back to the center. You have to understand in a simple way. If you understood a simple principle of life with magnetic fields, what comes out of the soul of the man has to radiate to the Creator, as he has radiated to him. So you have to decide where that one sits. As I said, I kept you so busy with the Ganses that the Gans of life was overlooked by me. And in so many ways, when you have that amino acid, it's a Gans of life. You are too busy with the Gans of matters because mankind is so materialistic. You say to yourself, why didn't Trump become president 10 years ago? At least we would have reached that point by now. We would have had peace and then we would have received the gift. But put it this way, the poor chap has to become a president because his soul promised to deliver what we want. Respect your leaders, but never become a slave to leadership. Does not matter you're on this planet or travelers of the universe. This way you shall have no profits, and no one can profit from you by, in a way, taking over the dimension of the strength of your soul. It's a wonderful day, and what we see in the coming time will become more beautiful when mankind gradually understands the true peace dividend is reaching the soul of the Creator, not less arms and more factories and more travels and whatever. That's the dimension of understanding of the man. Always said, you take a step, I take a step, but in a way we guided you to take that step. And as I said, you have blessed souls like President Yu China, who are bent backwards to equality and peace, and we have seen it achieved. Without the resilience of the Chinese government, there would have been no peace. No, none of these would have been achieved at this point in time. A solid nation creates strength, and a weak nation creates mayhem and anarchy. Now we've seen how one man has created so much anarchy in the past 2 or 3 years, and one other leader has created so much strength and peace. I would like to thank His Excellency for his soul. Mankind soon will understand. In so many ways, it's the end of religions. Doesn't matter which way you believe in it, because you find out it's you who accepted to be subordinate and not to be the holder. And this is one of the most important part that mankind needs to learn. Subordination brings conflict and suffering. And as long as you are correct in your conduct, it does not matter what is needed to give, when you give without prejudice, and it doesn't matter what others do, you'll find out gradually you've reached the understanding of the soul of the Creator. You radiate unconditional. As we say, when it rains, it does not rain only on one. And when it rains, it benefits all, and it doesn't create the condition of one is getting more or one it gets dirty on me. It remembers back many memories. Many years ago, before I lived in Iran, I used to have a grandmother, great grandmother of a Jewish descent. And she used to tell us, you know, when your grandfather used to go to bazaar, they had to go with a box of food for the next day. I said to my great grandmother, we used to call her Abji, which means sister. I said, Abji, why did they have to go with food? He said, the mullahs made this thing that if it's raining, the Jews cannot come out of their shop, because if a drop of rain falls on the shoulder of a Jew and then it splashes on the Muslim becomes dirty. So we always give the food for next day to grandmother. And what I said, and I still believe it, couldn't they use umbrella? Or was the current religion so bad that made mankind even to be afraid of his own shadow? And in so many ways, what we see is mankind has become afraid of his own shadow, afraid of sharing and receiving, where the Creator has reigned equal upon all. And in so many ways, the dirtiness is in the mind of the man, not a splash from the rainwater of the man. And the sooner we mature, the sooner what we see, we have created every ground for peace. We will see the state of Israel to dissolve into Palestine as part of one nation. We see amalgamation of most of the world nations into one in the coming time. When we saw the last step, as we finish the punishment of the Palestinians for the wrongs they did in the past century of their own doing, then we move to the step of equality. And the same way, the punishment of the Israelis has been long gone, but they have to understand the process of peace has started, and sooner or later, mankind will use the religion, what they were taught, to understand the true meaning of it and become a cause of unity and peace. And in a way, my wish is my command. We created your path of belief, and through it, we let you learn a lot and find your pitfalls, and now it's for you to move on. That you don't make the same mistakes, and you make no more profit for yourselves when you travel this part of the universe. And this was a very good lesson for my humanity. As I said before, we haven't seen the Christ for the fish, and we haven't seen the Moses for the cat. So mankind has kept himself full and busy because he thought he's very intelligent, that I let other abuse my soul. And now in the space of the universe, mankind will not do that, because you had your lesson. You ate from the poison apple. of subordination of your soul to those who hold the slave in the name of religion. But remember, the most important teaching of today, it was in 5 minutes. The path to your creator. And if you understand this, then Mr. Cohen has but try to understand the totality of the meaning of interaction of the fields as the amino acid itself has a coordination, exact operation of the work of the universe in the dimension of intelligence. When you make your spaceships, Mr. Cohen, don't forget there is a sting in the rain. Your top is away from you, and this is your base. You try to achieve, and in that process, even your spaceship has a soul. You have to enter it with the right soul, otherwise it does not accept you. You remember my teaching said it a long time ago. I said many world leaders will walk towards, but they walk back. They will not shame their souls for the conduct of their physicality. I hope today I brought you to a new level, and I hope today was a gift to Caroline for her birthday. Freedom. But the freedom has to be tasted, to be enjoyed, and to be shared. And in that process, mankind has to be kind enough to understand which kind of life he wants to live. We have shown you the path. As I said, there shall be no profit because you be shown all the ways. You don't need no one to guide you, to follow the flag. You set the flag, and the target is home. Back to the essence of the creation, to the creator. And don't expect that you stay much long there. It's a busy place, it's a busy man, and forever in a giving mood. When you see a sun, how it shines, when you see the brightness of the soul of the creator, you shall be blinded by it. But don't get fooled by all that shine. It works very heavy inside to make sure that everything is equal when it puts out. Exactly the same of the center of the sun, exactly the same center of the plasma of the soul of the. I have accomplished my mission and have to wait till my boss arrives, depending on which journey I will take. But it has been a good journey. At least we managed to free billions of men from suffering in the time to come. But on the way, matures man to the point of understanding. Understanding of his soul and not physicality of the matter. As I said, I'm a very good magician. I kept you so busy with ganses that you didn't listen to my voice, that I've hidden, as usual, your soul on top of it. I put it right in front of your face, so close that you see it, but you could not understand it because it wasn't there. Try to understand this if you want to find a path to elevate the soul of the man to meet your creator. And I'm sure tomorrow morning or next week I get many videos from John to show me how he's put witch cancers and how the soul has been. The soul of the man does not need to be in poor to understand, see the path of God. I hope you understand. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And as always, I'll remind the attendees here in the Zoom chat that they can raise their virtual hands and we can allow you to speak. There is a question that came up earlier with Doug in the Q&A here. He says, if we are here to serve, is it not so also the purpose of the Creator to serve the creation? A two-way loving interaction?
He has! Oh my God. What do you think you're here for? Don't get him angry, you don't know what he can do. What we call it in English, blasphemy. Am I correct? Blasphemy is only about the religions and the prophets, but don't do it to the Creator, he's the worst one. I've seen him when he goes the wrong way. Any other question? You'll be given so much that you are spoiled, you don't see it. Man needs to open his eyes to the truth of what has been given to him. You always looked at the food you ate. You never realized the rays of the sun which you received from the soul of the Creator through your soul. You were too busy physical putting it in your mouth. You never understood what was given to your soul in the dimension of the creation. What a nonsense. Any other question?
Well, we have one hand up, and it's from someone new that I don't know. We can allow them to go ahead. It could be, it's always a little
I
risky.
don't know who it is. It depends who it is.
The name is Cherry Bomb.
I prefer not to have that name, who it is. We usually want, there's no cherry and there's not a bomb in it. Let them write their question in.
Okay. Well,
we know who these people turn up to be after 6 years here, don't we? If you have a decent man, so you put a decent name on. Next, please.
Okay. Well, I had a question that came up earlier when you were talking about the rays and the rays from the cosmos, and I'm wondering about how do the rays from our local sun fit into the picture, or do they in a way? So, I mean, we look at humanity over millennia has worshipped the sun and called the sun the creator and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, we have the universal, we have the totality that's beyond the sun. We have the center of the galaxy, we have the center of the universe, and so on. You're talking about the principal fields from the center of the cosmos. And so I'm just trying to see how the sun fits into the picture, or does it? You're talking about it on a different level altogether.
Uh, yes, it does. Maybe I can explain it in a very simple way. You have a massive power station which creates and radiates so much energy out of it. If you connect it directly to the house, it blows the house up. What do you do?
Transformers.
Yes, yes. You put it to a substation, you thin it down a little bit, and then you put it to a substation, and then you put in a box at the end of the road that the house can get the right amount.
Exactly. Okay,
Yeah, now you understand.
makes sense. Then that's a great analogy that way.
This is the reality. Man receives, but man has to have the capability and the capacity to handle what he receives.
So is part of elevation being able to receive
To become a
those higher
substation.
levels? Yeah, okay. We become a sun, and then we figure out, whoops, there's actually a way bigger sun, and we're just part of the picture.
Now, this way we have taught you a lot. But be careful you don't get blown up by the beauty of it. It's so addictive that even the souls become drug addicted to the soul of the God. That's how bad it is. They want to reach it. They want to be there. But you have to understand, you have to elevate it to reach. In my teachings, in so many ways, over time, I have explained. By giving, you reach a point that you receive so much because you have learned gradually to give so much that as you receive the more powerful rays of the Creator, you can give more. This is the essence of what I put in front of the Keshe Foundation. We are here to serve and not to be served. We are here to give because it's the same. We are here to practice your soul to give, to be able to elevate the others, that in that process it practices to receive. It's like, you want to go a marathon, you can't get up, wake up and go to a marathon and do 20 miles. You train it. You do a 15 miles, you do 100 kilometers over 20 years, 10 years. But in the morning when you get up, you want to marathon runner, I do 100 meter, I run 100, and the next day I run a kilometer. I train. I know how to breathe. I know what I have to give. I know when not to breathe. And who and what the way I do. It's the same. This process of life is a training that you can receive. And at that point, you become. At the point that you give so much that you receive, that then you find yourself in the path of the transformer, and then the next one, and then in a way you call it the essence of the creation of the Creator. It needs a lot of the writings on Brown Keshe Foundation, as you see it as what we call the banner or the logos, has a lot of meaning about the passage of man, direction of the man to the path of his Creator. It's very funny, many times when I speak and they say, why Keshe Foundation is in financial problems if you can produce gold? I can produce anything. But what would the soul of the knowledge seekers and the humanity learn from it? Oh, it's so easy to make. Now we make more of it and we kill more of it. The sincerity of those who are there is the elevation of the souls. As I always said, they are blessed ones. You understand soon what it means to be blessed. You have bought yourself the ticket to the Creator because you have served your time. Not by physical damage, in sincerity in what you have delivered. As I said in some of the private teachings, those of you who have served around the foundation with sincerity, and we have seen in sharing of what you shared with us, your soul and your time, you will be given shares from the Keshe Foundation Global. to make your life, your passage in the past times, to come a comfortable life. It's not that we give you, we financially support you. It's that to say thank you for what you've done for the development of humanity. All of you who's been close and you've been around Foundation for the benefit of humanity, you will see, as I said in the private teachings, wait when that envelope drops through the letterbox. That's thanks to your servitude for humanity, not what you've done for the Foundation. You could have created goals in tons, then become another magician. As I said, we test the fire, and we have tested man with gold. The conduct has to be correct, the way we set things has to be correct. In so many ways, many of you stood by us in past year, 2 years, in so many ways, with everything which came up with the Foundation. But in a way, you will see how we reward back. Because you stood there to do, to support, and he gave us a chance to do what we came here to do, to allow the bold leaders to come together. And in so many ways, we all put into it to achieve it. It's not one or two. As I said last week, there's many of them we didn't know. There's clusters of them everywhere. And we thought it's only the few would come on the teaching. I explained to our webmaster how we end up to be so many millions very recently. We all go back if we decide to, when we decide. Any other question?
Well, we have a question from YouTube. Ebolia Curioli. When will Mr. Keshe explain where the creator originated from? Maybe today? And later on, he has the same question. Where and why does the creator exist? And what's the end goal of the creator?
Mankind is not ready for it. It took me 5 years of teaching to explain to you what I'm taking you today. Give me another 5 years. I might see if the mankind has matured enough. Then I'll show you the creator. You remember the beginning of the teachings, I said one day I'll take you to see the soul of the Christ. And if many of you understood and understand the process, you can do it yourself today.
Would it be true that we as humans would have a hard time understanding what the end goal of the creator might be, sort of in the same way
why do you think you're not intelligent too? Today?
Because in the same way that an ant may not understand what our end goals would be as humans.
You see, so many people look at so many aspects of life, and because they don't understand it, they cannot analyze it to see the bigger picture. And mankind has been too much kept home to see what is going on in the city of the universe. It's been staying in a village, inward looking, and now it's time to move on, and then mankind will see new dimensions, new understanding. And somewhere down this road, at some point, his soul will mature. Some souls will mature on this planet. There's no shadow of a doubt. Many has. As I said, we see blessed souls and we know who they are. And those are those we brought with ourselves, but they still work in their own dimension when you see them around. But we give a dimension of physicality. Another group of man might travel the depth of the universe, and somewhere in planet Zeus suddenly reach that point of maturity and find a path back to Creator. And somebody might travel the span of universe in time lapse of man for billions of years, but never get enlightened even through their offsprings. It's a very, very interesting thing. I was watching a program of National Geographic, and something struck me very, very, very interesting. One of the grandchildren of Hess, you know, who Hess is creator of all the mayhem in German time and sending so many Jews and homosexuals into the furnace chambers. They worship him, he says. He says, I'm the only black sheep of the family because I'm aware of his crimes, what is done, the damage is done. And my family worship him. And they don't believe anything they say that he's done. Which side of the fence does mankind sit? Or have we been told so many lies and the only few who are his descendants believe him? And in so many ways, does mankind see himself as which side? Or does it say, as is in the Holy Book, we are all sinners? But are we? Or have we seen or have we taken from our own soul what has been done wrong to us to correct, that we are balancing our souls? And this is what the whole life is about, the whole existence. Are we taking from ourselves? Are we allowed to be taken from ourselves that we cannot give to those who deserve to receive it? So in a way we are a thief from theirs, not from those who stole from us. We allow it to happen. And we do the same thing with our own physical life. We do the same thing with our own soul. Today's teaching is not about the ethic. Today's teaching is about the path for mankind to reach their Creator. You call it Allah, you call it Christ, you call it Khuda, you call it God. Whatever name you have given it to, I have shown you the path. You have to find it. You have to find a torch that clears and lights up the path for you to go back home. I'm already home. In so many ways, as I said to knowledge seekers, I am the home, waiting for you to arrive. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from a live stream from Freed. He asks, when meeting as a group, is it a possibility to build GANs together and each contribute, such as, for example, a fingernail clipping, to create a combined COHN? And is this advisable?
You see, you are still physical. Why do you need a name? When you make against yourself, or when you make against in the box, you have made a collection of the fields of the universe independently. That's what it is when you have that amino acid on top of your box. So, do you need to put physicality in it? Or you think if that amino acid has a soul in a dimension of the creation, did the energy of your soul or magnetic field of your soul had anything to do with its creation while you are in its vicinity? You see, you're too physical. This puts a lot of fright in your what I call in your spine if you understood the meaning of it. As long as you wish to fly, you shall never fly. As long as you can understand the beauty of the flight where it takes you, you have already flown. How many UFOs you want to make? If you understand what I said. I used to have a phrase in Canon Kendrick, do not say that. If I say that, you mean they're stupid, they don't understand. And I used to say, you don't understand. You all understand, but you have decided to be deaf to it. And you have decided to be blind to the light, the sight of your creation, your creator. Nobody else. I still eat as a man, and I pretend to be busy because this is how I can mix and learn from mankind to cover all their pits. Very soon in the coming weeks and months, you will see us with the world leaders. Do not get fooled. We do not sweep and eat with them. We are there to raise their souls, that through them to understand the pitfalls of creation. And through it, they will change the condition of the life of the man on this planet. And the whole structure is it's time for it to start. My wish is my command. And as the guy said, as a commander-in-chief, I can order anything I like. But as a commander-in-chief, I wish all. That is what you do. Now you understand why we put the Trumps in power, to trump the humanity. If you know the term of the language of gambling. You put a gambler with his name in the gambling casino of humanity. And if you listen to his terminology, he's a good bluff poker player because he knows casinos and he only knows his bluff to see which card might fall and somebody might call it in. But you got to understand, it's a show which is planned and is no coincidence. You just happen to be the audience at this theater at this time, at this position in the life of this planet. But the act has been written a long, long time ago. An actor doesn't come on the scene and just play. He rehearses and develops everything to be perfect. And we done a perfect job. You're just the audiences to learn. Any other question?
We have Krasmir with his hand up here.
I've been here for a long time.
Krasmir is the Universal Council for Bulgaria.
Yes, I know.
Krasmir, do you want to go ahead? We're not hearing you yet. I see your microphone went unmuted.
You
and
got too excited.
Just not.
Energy transfer was to the soul of the microphone and he couldn't handle it.
He went on soul phone mode instead of cell phone, I guess.
Cell phone.
We're not quite there yet, Krasmir. We're still working on that technology.
Those who understood the amino acid understanding, you'll find a soul phone very, very soon in the market.
Well, Krasmir, I think there's something wrong with your microphone there because we weren't able to hear you. So you'll have to reconnect maybe in Zoom.
Can you hear me now?
He's come through another one.
Yeah.
His hand is still up.
I'm here.
He's a
Right?
magician. He's come through the soul side. We can
Yeah,
hear his soul
his
because
microphone,
his microphone is still off. And his
We
hand
did
is
it
still off.
finally. Find this biggest breakthrough of the Keshe Foundation here.
And those of you who don't understand is we see the panels on a certain line, which most of the people who have a connection with the foundation can come in. And he's got two names. Now we understand he was with another name, but his real link, he's still got his hands up and his microphone is up, but he comes through his hand. He's opened the second line. Okay, let your soul speak. Oh, have we got rid of that as well?
Hello, Krasmir, go ahead. We did hear you there.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry for the interruption. Thank you very much,
The magic work.
Thank you for the presentation today. My question is that for some time I'm trying to find the difference between the soul of physicality and the soul of totality in relation to our actions and in relation to our consciousness. As far as I understand so far, there are some actions that we can attribute to the soul of the totality, like serving, for example, which brings us closer and elevates our soul and brings it closer to the Creator. And there are some actions that do the opposite, like killing or stealing, for example. And my question is, can we say that there are two consciousness of those two entities that motivate our actions? Because if we all know that serving is the best thing we can do, I guess we would all do it. But since we are not doing it,
you see, there is a parameter which is the pitfall, and I call it is your hard disk in a way, that does not allow your processor to work properly, which is your brain, and it creates the emotion with it. This is the processing part of the interaction, the interface of the information in what to be processed. And you have to understand, part of the work through the circulation of the blood of the man comes the physical part, and part of the fields from the what I call dimension of the soul of the man, it comes from the central brain, which is the soul of the man, in radiating, and when the two interact, according to their strength, create that emotion and feeling. So somewhere down the line, if man becomes wise enough, can tune one to another, that you do not need to bring the emotion into it. And in so many ways, I was trying to teach some time ago, a few weeks ago, and I understood You're not ready. Most of you are not ready for it. And in a way, I understand if I can explain how I assess you got already, is by the way you present, or I see communications around and presentations and talk and chats. It means by listening, you understand how much you have understood and what you have analyzed. And if you can reach the point that brings in a dimension of acceptance of the soul, into dimension of physicality, or dimension of physicality and acceptance of dimension of the soul, you will come to the point that, in a way, you call it in a simple language of science, synchronizing it between your soul, and it's not actually synchronizing, it's balancing and equaling the soul of the man with the soul of his physicality. And this is a very, very dangerous path if you do not know how to take it. Because at that point, you will decide which dimension to take. And at that point, as the soul of the man is not an independent entity in a vacuum of life, and the soul of the greater soul of the man is not independent entity in the vacuum of the universe, they will move in one way or one direction or the other. And it's a decision of the man in his position of his soul, dimension of his physicality, to decide to take the side of the soul to become part of it, or to allow the separation of the two confirm its existence in another dimension, position, time, and space. With what I have taught today, for those of you who gradually in next 6 months, year, grow into it gradually, because you will start understanding it, then you will understand a lot of things which you thought was impossible is possible, because you are the destiny maker, not the destiny made for you. And in many of my teachings, I follow this path. And many ways you have to understand how the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man operate. The soul of the physicality of the man has the same option as the soul of the man, but it tries to turn it around, that it has a dimension of the motion in the level of physical life, and it can change it. And if you understand this, and you have within you the level of creation or absorbing, is that the soul of the man receives different fields of the universe. So does the soul of physicality of the man. And if you can balance the two and understand what the soul of physicality receives and what the soul of the man receives, then it'll be very easy to harmonize, to bring balance. And then it becomes one total, a bigger sun. This is something which I thought some years ago, and in so many ways, in the world of science, cosmologists don't see it, and it's puzzling how they don't see it. We know why they don't see it, because mankind has not created the tools for it yet, has not ever thought of this yet. But you have to understand, this sun of ours, or we call it our planetary sun, has a twin. We know that, but otherwise it cannot exist, because one confirms the other. But the strange thing which you have not, mankind has not understood, this sun has created its own fields, and this sun has created its own fields. But when you look, you understand they have created their own field of totality. which again, in the dimension of universe, if we transfer this to this again has another dimension with another one, which is creation creates a bigger dimension. And this is how universes or galaxies are created. And it takes man a lot because we don't see these fields at this moment in time. We can't see because we don't have the knowledge. Even we look from a distance, we see the twin star, but we don't see the magnetosphere of the twin star because between two of them, somewhere here is the gravitational point of the two. I explain this in the books where I say what is the mass and what is the weight. In so many ways it refers to this. And in the process of it gives existence to the whole of the universe. The creator starts with a very, very weak ray of existence. That's how he started. That's how he became. And in that process, its interaction with the empty space and its own condition has led to creation of plasma, and then what we see, the presence unicos. But when you look, when you understand the totality of it, the creator sits here and all the universes are around it. And in one way or another, they all lean towards it. And in a way, if you look at it, if the mankind, in the essence of the creation of unicos is here, which inside it there is a universe and we are some part of it, we are progressing to understand the higher strength of creation. But if you mature enough to understand the totality, as is the creator of you, there is a shortcut. This is those who take the UFOs. These are those who elevate direct. And don't forget, once you go in, you become path of the same. And you will ask, what is the purpose of creation? Is to see the beauty of the creator, nothing else. When you see the effect of it, when you see what he has created, what is created from his creation, you marvel in what beautiful the creator himself can be.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome.
We have a couple
I was talking to one of our colleagues very past few days, and he said, Mr. Keshe, you're too hot. The world leaders know how hot I am because the sun burns, I evaporize. And at the moment, nobody knows how to handle this flame. But this is the flame of generosity and giving, not revenge and control.
Well, Mr. Keshe, that leads right into the next question from Shirazad Mohammadi in the Q&A. It says, Mr. Keshe, there are other spiritual teachers who claim to be waiting for us to show us the way back. Are they all pointing to the correct path, or only you are?
Oh my God, you haven't understood? I'm trying to teach you to avoid these pitfalls. Try to find the path through your soul. You do not need nothing. I'm not showing you, I'm teaching you. It's for you to show the path. I'm a knowledge seeker. Seeker of the knowledge of the universe, not the mankind. We teach you for your soul to be enlightened, for you to receive the knowledge, that you find a path and don't rely on the others. As I said, we never claim to be your messengers, we just pass the message. Those who are called themselves prophet, they have done enough prophesying. And see where it's got the mankind. They're killing in the name of them, they're slaughtering in the name of them. They call them by the names of color to go back home where they came from, the same home. And they're strange enough, they never married anybody from the same home. We have a beautiful saying Farsi, if you understand the terminology. We say the pot, the lid says to the pot, you're black. And because you know, you have a stand where you put the cooking or you put the fire on it. It says, you know, we call it sepai. It says, listen, who says who is black? Because without them being on this fire together, they would have never become black. And when it's black, they're together because of it. It means we are all made of the same. We've gone through the same process together. Without the top, the other one doesn't exist. You want to be the container and say, because I'm there, I'll lead the others. You cannot. It's for you to decide the path. And if you haven't understood, you're still looking for leaders and prophesizers. So it means you haven't understood the totality of my teaching.
Okay, well, that also ties in. You mentioned the twinity or the twin sons and so on earlier. And the question from the person I mentioned earlier, who I won't mention their name because of the word it was, but their question was about the twinities, the beautiful people. And he says how that Mr. Keshe has called them the beautiful people. How does man come to have two souls, or two souls of physicality, and that we call them schizophrenics?
You see, the situation with the beautiful people is very simple. You have two souls and you have one soul of physicality. It's still one heart as we see it. But within this heart, there is a mixture of two, where in totality, this feeds this, and this feeds this, if you see it. But in totality, they create one physical appearance. Each one takes according to what it needs. And each one shares with its own soul in the dimension of physicality what it needs to do. And it depends which one has more fields received from, depending on its strength. Today this one shows itself, takes the charge of, or this one shows itself, takes the charge of the physicality. There are those who have 3 or 4 or 5. And each one appears only when its time and position has shown, or the knowledge has been asked for. And this is very, very easy to understand. It comes from the time of inception in the womb of the mother. And as I said, we see Siamese twins, we see twins as twins, we see triplets, and we see up to now, I think the biggest we had is 6 of them, 6 girls. I don't know if there's a 7, I don't know. And depends if you have 6 in one body or you have 6 individuals. If you were around in 1990s or whatever, 80s in England, there were 6 girls born at the same time. They're now in their 30s. And when you see the release of the pictures very recently, not more or less none of them look the same. They have a lot of similarities, but you don't see complete twins. And their life was played in public, as the parents had to find a financial way to feed 6 kids in one go. So they sold them to advertising board. They were teenagers when they decided they're grown up and they wanted a private life. But recently they released the pictures. I was looking for them because these 6 are very interesting for understanding the process of physicality. But what happened if these 6 souls decided to have one body? And we have many, but we don't understand. We have to go to the school of creation to understand they are not sick. It's us who does not have the knowledge. It's lack of our knowledge blames us. It's more of a phobia. It's what we are afraid of. How we're going to see which one we're going to handle, because we can't handle 6 people. I'll put you in the middle of these 6 girls and let the 6 talk to you, go crazy. How do you expect from one body 6 noises and 6 different decisions to come out? But beautifully enough, American government had handled, all the presidents had one with about 11 of them. Now you know why the American administration is such a mayhem. Which of the 11 are you going to listen to? And they're advisors to the government. So it must be very good. In the dimension of the physicality, whichever soul is in position or has manifested itself in the dimension of physical life, transfers most of the energy from physical life to its dimension. In a way, it's my turn. In this corner, I take all the energies, and the interface of that is mine. Because if you look, there's one brain, and this 6 sits there, and the physical dimension is there. If this one has the field control with dimension of physicality matches it, this is what you see as manifestation. And in the next step, if this one matches with this, you see manifestation of this soul. This guy is a physicist, this guy is an anthropologist. But when you look through the eye of the physicality of the man, when they've done this many times, when you give a newspaper to them, and there's article economy, politics, blah, blah, especially design newspapers for them when you give them, and you will ask this one, for example, about, you ask this one about his title, what he's interested in, he tells you. But if you ask him about anything else, he has no clue. They've done this many tests with but as I said, the doctors don't understand. Now we understand the process. And when you, for example, you put with this soul, and he's only a sportsman, and you put an article about the sports, he only reads this and he can tell you everything about it. But if you look, all 6 of them have looked through one eye to one piece of paper. I've spent many times with understanding of the separation of the soul of the man with this. You ask this guy about anything else here, has no clue, is not interested. If you're interested in sports, you go straight in a daily newspaper in the back, what happened, who plays what. If you were a sportsman, you had the most beautiful day of sport in life if you could enjoy sports. Last weekend, last Sunday was one of the most beautiful time for sports. And I was wondering if you could have watched it. I enjoy sport. In the afternoon, you had a finish of Formula One. And you saw how a man, which I admire so much, Hamilton, came to win, to be one in England. The same afternoon, you had Wimbledon, tennis, and again it was mind-boggling, one of the longest ever. And then you had one of my favorite games, cricket, where out of 7 weeks of tournament, came to the last ball, become equal, it became to the last ball, the last ball, English won. It was an amazing game. If you look at it, out of throwing 300, 300, and then 2 sixes, out of 612 balls, the number 612 decided the game. And it was beautiful to see. But when you saw the game, you knew from the beginning England shall win. Because this course of event was set to bring one soul out. And I said, they don't see it, this is going to be a draw, exactly. But what happened? There is a problem in racism in England. For those of you who don't know. And in the cricket world, they brought in a fast track a black boy into cricket, which is not very normal in British cricket. Very young, 24. And this guy had to throw the last ball. We saw the same process in World Cup with the French when the Moroccan guy played the game a few years ago and united the nation.
Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you still there? Not hearing your voice, Mr. Keshe. Okay, I think he has to reconnect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
One system fell out, so it's beautiful. We learned the game how to switch very quick.
Mm-hmm.
So in so many ways, this weekend was a fantastic way for usually these individuals who come change their life and they become hero of nations. And with it, we saw how the whole of Britain didn't matter to it. Race, color was not important as long as England could win. And the strangest thing is, beautiful part of it is, they call it the last, when they reach the balance, um, in the cricket world, which is very hard, they changed it recently, it used to be a 2-3 days game, now they wanted it to 50 ball. When they had to play that deciding 6 ball, the last, all the British team wanted this boy to do the last 6 ball because he was so good in the past 7 weeks. And collectively, they choosing this boy will change his life. In the future, he's a hero because he actually is a World Cup of the game of cricket. It's a beautiful game if you don't understand it. If you understand it, it's one of the most relaxing, delicious games you can watch. It keeps you on your toe for the whole length of the game, the whole day, because every ball could be, can be, and it's beautiful. But we see these kind of situations very much a changing point. David Hamilton is the only black race driver, more or less, and they did everything for him not to win. If you knew what the Formula One has done to keep this guy from winning past 6 years, 7 years, is, I mean, they changed rules for a black boy not to win, but he has beaten all. I've been following his since he came to Formula One. And the same with this young boy has appeared. We saw the most marvelous girl in Wimbledon, 15-year-old black girl from America, reaching the third size, what do you call it, level of the games. So the games are not race dependent anymore. We all see them for their talent, for what they are, and it's the same with the soul of the man. We have to see what the soul has to offer.
The same thing happened in Canada recently with the basketball, and we had a black basketball player from
You sold
that
them,
was
haven't
working
you?
with Toronto, and it brought the entire country together. It didn't matter what color you were and what race or where you're from. And Toronto is quite a mixture of people from all over the world.
But
And
you lost them, huh? They sold them, they're gone.
yes, he's gone. So we have to find a new hero now.
$164 million for one player. You lost him heavy, huh?
Yep, it was good while it lasted. So we'll see what happens. But yeah,
It was a good dream. It lasts 1 year. Next year it'll be somebody else, huh?
yeah. Well, we'll see if that brings the country together again or splits us apart. It's hard to say.
This will be one of the beautiful things of mankind. In sports will bring all the races together, and this is one of the things which will hope the beauty of talent will shine, not the gunpowder.
Well, that was one of the original goals of the Olympics, I believe, was the bringing together of all the cultures of the world. Even back in the Greek days, wasn't the Olympics to invite people from all over the world to compete?
This is one of the things which walks you by talking about it, something which I didn't want to speak about, is the hypocrisy of what they did. And we have the same thing today. This is what we're setting up, talking about this, that, you know, supposed to bring everybody together, and then they create so much of it that they all become friends. Most of the sports people meeting in these games, Olympics and whatever, they become very close friends. But it's the way they control it. According, if blacks couldn't win, you know what happened with Hitler when the black guy did everything in the running. But we have the same hypocrisy, and this is why we're setting the Universal Council headquarters on the beaches of Malta. We're negotiating with the Maltese government. We open the headquarters of the Keshe Foundation in Malta very soon. We hopefully will be in that position. And I asked the Maltese government, I want a beach side. I want it to be that no one can dictate who can come in. Anyone from anywhere on this planet can reach us. You don't need a visa. You don't need to be told what you have to do. And the beauty of it, amazingly, we see the reason for it. His Excellency, Mr. What do you call, the ambassador of Iran, Zarif, is in New York. As a New York being the head of the United Nations, anybody can go to. Americans cannot stop him coming in because he's coming to the United Nations, but it's organized in the background. But the strangest thing with it is the Americans have issued a restriction order where he can be in New York, that they can keep an eye on him and they can negotiate with him, but under different cover. If you are a city to be for the peace, has to be no restriction when you come and go. How many people Americans stop coming to United Nations to bring their grievances unless the government pays them to? This position of His Excellency Mr. Zarif in New York today shows the pitfall with the United Nations. It's not the United Nations, it's dictatorship of one nation. And this is why we're creating Universal Council to be a position of it. Not in the middle of the city, but on the shores of the waters, which is accessible by every man. You don't need to have a spaceship to land. Water tub should be there. You know the story of the donkey who rang the bell for the king and says, bring the owner of it, he's got a complaint to make, he's a donkey, but we have to see why he rang the bell. There is a pitfall with the present situation of United Nations, as you said. Color, now we don't want them to come and talk. How can you be a nation to be the headquarters of United Nations and then put restriction on the people you were built, giving you the right, you put the word of the poet on the door of your building, and then you put restriction on them. The situation at the moment is amazingly. I have a message. Caroline, can you please contact Giovanni? Urgent. We have to understand the process.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, did you ask?
Yeah, please contact Giovanni, it's urgent.
Just 1 second.
Can you close your
Can
microphone?
you repeat?
Can you contact Giovanni, please? It's urgent.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, can you switch your microphone, please? The situation is very critical. There is no freedom. If we established, if as one race we have established the condition of United Nations, how can one nation dictate who can come and talk and what conditions can be there? So United Nations is not a free nation. It's the dictatorship of one nation. And this will go with the opening of the Universal Council headquarters. Every man should be able to reach the council. It should be the freedom we don't have. The time of dictatorship is over. If we have established understanding of the one place, one position, why we put restriction on the visa of entry and they refuse some people even to come in. Zarif has been allowed to come in because they want to negotiate to get out of the mess they made themselves. They lost their credibility. It's the only way we can sort this mess we created. But still with that, shamefulness behavior of a restricted visa. United Nations has to be free for every nation citizen on this planet, even its animals. And we see it. The same has been. If you look at the Formula One, the head of Formula One has made every effort that a black man cannot win. After the first time, they changed all the rules, again rules. And Hamilton is a champion by nature. He's beaten them 6 times to be the world champion. Don't forget the policy of the European community, as Giscard d'Estaing said in his talk, is a Catholic club. Now there will be no Catholicism. Let's see the rest accept them. We ended up the work of Vatican. There shall be no more Pope. The Pope has popped. The same with other religious leaders. Mankind has to learn that religious leaders have to be the guideline for the development of the soul of the man to find the path to the Creator, not to take soul of the man to ransom. Even by their physicality. we've seen what Vatican has done in Europe, Saudis are doing with their guns and funds. And blaming everybody else. The problem is we have to be blind to the path we believe, the color we have, and the only objective of man has to be to serve. Then man is mature to find his path. I stayed awake till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning till the last ball, and it was the most amazing game. And I enjoyed, but I said, you know something, I know why they chose this boy, but he came. This is unusual the way this guy has come into the top of the British cricket. I said, you know something, none of these boys wanted to have a bad name. If it was him, it was just the guy, he came and couldn't do on his guy, but he came up top, last ball. And he's a hero, what he did, what he's achieved. But we've seen, you have to understand, a lot of people don't understand the world of cricket because you, as a stranger, it's like you play baseball. The people in the world of cricket, which usually come from Commonwealth, they become very powerful. They become people, children live through them. One of the top guys now coming with world of cricket is the present Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. He was a cricket player. He lived a very positive life. He lived a very, if you look at the Imran Khan from the time he was a young player, because I followed him to his game, and now he's the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He has brought that essence of fairness into his government. He has brought the essence of teamwork that collectively is. He married one of the richest girls in British Isles, very, very rich, and through that he had the means to bring his thing in. But you understand then how these influential these individual players become in the cricket, in the other world. We've seen many sports people are becoming the world leaders, footballers. They stand for politics. In the past, we have actresses that will learn how to fake it. We had, a couple of American presidents, one needed. And now we see world leaders becoming a sportsman because we see the ethics of correctness in their conduct. We follow them. And it's disrespect of race and religion or whatever you are. And we've seen many, many sports people are taking time of politics because they've been served by the nation, and now they serve the nation in a different way, even as ambassadors. If you follow the world of cricket, we have some gorgeous players because it's the most beautiful game to be in. There is no rush. It's a very typical English game. The hype of it is you hit the ball a bit harder. And the rest of the time is having an English cup of tea. Wait till the next ball. And there's a lot of skill in it. And they learn it. And it's what it has to be. We spend a lot of mankind's time will go into leisure because we create a condition for it. In a coming time, when we launch the Keshe Foundation, it's a matter of days, hopefully someone can move it. He blames me for it, but I have a reason, I'm excused. The way we have structured the Keshe Foundation global operation, I own, but my ownership is the Keshe Foundation ownership in the name of everything to it. But the way we structure it, every man in the global will have a share. Which means if you buy a product in Africa, If you buy a product in Los Angeles, you're still benefiting the others. And the structure of global is each man has the same value anywhere across the world. And he can call upon the Prophet to be living by. This is why we established the coin. It's not making share profit for the institutes, the institute, Keshe Foundation. It's the way it's going to work. I've asked them, you issue so many billion shares according, and we dilute it as the population increases, but it still has the same value. Now you understand why I set up the globe, why I set up to go into the stock market. As we build the factories around the world, the rich, the poor, whatever, every citizen has his own social security now as one share. So nobody can be poor. And each share has $1,000 value. It's not that the man in Los Angeles or in Africa, he gets a penny. We share, we structure it, we take the taxation out of it. Everything I've done is well designed. But it needs its time to come in. We structure it, we make it ready, it's there in the background, and it comes into fitting properly on its time. It becomes one of the biggest organizations in the world because the government, I cannot tax the Chinese different way and the Americans different way and the guy in Africa different way. But from the total income of the regions, rich and poor, we give everyone equal to the shares. But where does this money will go? Where the one who has it spends some, he gives some, he gives his share to somebody else because I have enough. He can have my benefit. And then we have created a condition of leisure, to have your time to enjoy. This is the only way you can take this humanity out of the mess of finance and politics is made position of universal launch of the coin, understanding of the structure of the what we call global. But it has to be its time. It cannot be yesterday. We couldn't launch global. We are sitting, we paid huge amount of money to buy this company, and we're sitting it for a year. Arman is putting his head up. We should have done it. Mankind hasn't been ready. There's no use launching something when as a Iranian shareholder in American structure, Trump can say Iranian company, I have to make him to make Iranian acceptable, the most beautiful people in the world, then the share is worth something. Now you understand. We don't become terrorists, we become tourists, we become financiers. But as a community, as one, now you understand how deep I have planned things. We've done this before. We are well rehearsed to it. Then I don't need to tax you. What you buy for the pleasure of life, being medicine, being food, being agriculture, being space travel, pays to the same pot that everybody lives correct. People are allergic to pay taxes, but people are love to buy things. So you buy, I don't tax, I pay to the others. But this should not create a condition everybody become lazy. Oh, I get paid. There are ways we keep humanity motivated to the next step. And this is how the structure is. With games, we spend time on, we go to cricket match, we go to football, we go to supermarket. In the long run, in what we use, we pay. That it allows by profit, not by taxation, as one nation. I have planned one nation, one planet, and I'm executing so beautifully, one by one. But you have to make the pieces. That when you, it's like a jigsaw, you have to make all the pieces in pieces, and then you can put it together to see the total. And all the pieces are there. We're just moving it around a little bit. You pick a different one and you put it there and you fit it and it comes out. Even though sometimes says, oh, he made a mistake, why he did it? There is a reason, because we test the people who can be in a position to give it. Incompetence has no room, because you damage the others who depend on you. We finance factories, but we wait who's running it and what competence. That's where we go. So we structure it differently. Everything I do has a reason, but I don't need to explain to no one, because no one understands what the thing is and why you're going there. I was explaining today reading in the Farsi teaching this week when I was 12, 13. I said I want to become a nuclear physicist. Everybody, a little, oh, everybody wants to be a doctor, especially. But the reason I wanted to be, because I knew through nuclear I can create gravity, and if I could control the space, I can control the human. But in that process, I was aware of the soul of the creator, the beauty of the creator. And by 1920, I was a nuclear physicist. Oh, my family said he knew something when he was little. But he's so stubborn, he gets what he wants because he was the first son. Nobody understood why. Because if those of you who want to fly have to understand the importance of the essence of the creation of the. That's why my teaching I explained about the rays. Gamma ray, X-ray. We don't call them a plasma ray. And if you reach a higher rays, it's a God ray. Alpha is a little, beta is a little bit more. Gamma is Japanese are translating it into gold on a daily basis, using it the right way. And imagine what gold would give you as the creator. You hit the jackpot, but not in the casino. Shall we call it a day?
Okay, can you maybe take one more question from
As
Dan?
usual.
Okay, we'll squeeze one more in here. From Dan, it's an interesting question. He says, you said that you have been here for thousands of years, and I am, just that I do not remember. And I'm looking for the way to remember what my soul holds inside. How do I learn to know myself, to know the totality?
Become detached. Become to understand that money has no value. It's just a means of getting from A to B, or creating the others to get to A to B. Doesn't matter in what shape or form you put it. It's not financial, it's detachment from physicality. And whatever you give does not mean it's going to be accepted, because the one who you give it to does not understand it, does not have the same strength as you. You can fall in love with a woman and say how much you love her, or you can fall in love with a man and say how much you love her as a woman. But if it doesn't feel it, it's no use pushing it. It's a waste of time. Oh, yes. Mm, mm, yeah. Mm. How many times you told somebody I love you? Mm. And in typical English, oh, me too. Me too, it means I love myself too. It doesn't say I love you, darling, does it? And loving means giving. We even cheat in loving in that process. And you can imagine the one who hears it and he hears the voice of the foul game. This is what you have to learn, is detachment. And you find you should not look for a way to elevate your soul. You should serve that your soul gets elevated. It's a big difference. As I say, I don't work to live, I live to work. I don't live to serve, I serve to live. And somewhere down the line, we all meet our change of position of physicality. I call it death. I call it the freedom that I can go to where I came from. Because I already know the path. But as long as you are in any position, not just in this physical body, anywhere, your job is to serve, to give, that others can elevate. You always have to be that step which allows one soul to go one step higher than you. Then you're the true soul. Not the step that he breaks down that the soul will pop on. I can be that step. Man has got a lot to live. Thank you very much for today. And I hope, is there any other question?
Well, only one more remaining that I could get around, which is what Dimitri brought up about why would the soul of the ant, which I mentioned earlier, why would the soul of the ant not understand? It comes from the same rays.
You think he doesn't understand. He's cleverer than you.
I was just going to say that in light of what you just said, perhaps the soul of the ant's doing pretty good. Just, if you think of an ant family or ant pile, they all work together. They are aware of each other and they all have a goal and they're working at that. And within their realm, within their world, they're quite connected and that's their totality. And
it's the same with the bees. Huh?
Yeah.
It's very strange if you understand how this thing works. Now we're in July. If you lived in northern Italy, usually around the 1st of July, it's amazing, it works out around about the 1st of July, the ants fly. All the ants take to flight, they all have the wing. And their objective is to impregnate one female ant. And the minute they do their job, they lose their wings and they fall and they die. And then this single ant has got thousands and thousands of men parts from thousands of men in air she mated with. And she lands on the ground with a huge belly. It could be, God knows, 1 million eggs in there. She puts one egg out and all those sperms from all these lot start creating ants, and then she starts her colony. She doesn't put 1 billion eggs out for every. She gives the essence of the soul of itself in its egg to all of them, and they all impregnate, and they create a condition to create the ant to start a colony. If you've been to see this, it's an amazing sight when all these ants drop off. And they all literally drop off. We were in a position a few years ago in north of Italy. We were standing in the garden and I said to Caroline, the swimming pool surface is black, it was clean a few minutes ago. And we watched, it was just ants falling, and there were so many birds in the sky because they were eating them. It was a feast time for all these sparrows and everybody else. They were all eating them in there. I couldn't understand what's happening. I called my son. He's what do you call, animal psychologist. I said, there's something strange happening here, because I knew he did his, what do you call, thesis on ants. He said, Dad, you're so lucky to see this. It's an event that my professor pays money to go to Amazon to see this once a year. And he explained me the process. And as in a way, all these ants you're getting falling, we had to scoop it off. It was just literally like a gel on the top. It's so many of them fall. He said, this is what they do. They sacrifice their life to make sure that mother is on flight, that she can get to somewhere that can continue the race. It's in no and it's a strange process. And where does all those millions of souls which drop off from the sky go in that distance? And why should be one soul of one egg to impregnate that through its energy, all those sperms in the body become life? Mankind has not understood the process of creation yet. By field transfer, what is in the liquid of the life transfers life to condition of the creation. And then they say, oh, she gives eggs. So they haven't understood the process. Now you understand the process of gas and the elevation of the soul. It's the soul of that single which creates soul of sperm creates life and division of it, not the physicality. And why do we have to give? To survive, to become. How much soul does this universe and the universes need that the earth has become the nursery of the souls? Yes, the earth is unique. One day humanity will understand how to explain it. And sometimes how we are witness to most beautiful things, we don't understand. It's the same. We see everything in the universe, but we don't understand. It's just light. But what does that light mean? We need somebody to explain to us. We need somebody to make us to see it. But it doesn't mean the guy who explained to us is a messenger or whatever. I can teach you about what's happening in the universe. If you're with me and you see some 8% I explain to you the biology, the physics, and the cosmology. Carry a full vocabulary of knowledge of physics. If you don't understand, I cannot explain. Any other question?
Well, we got a couple of bonus questions there, Mr. Keshe, so I think
Have
we
you hit
probably...
the jackpot?
It remains to be seen, I guess.
What other questions?
I don't know if we do. Don't have any hands up, and I think we've covered all the questions. There was one question, I guess, that's still remaining, which is, can the children that suffer from developmental delay ever catch up equal with others, to be developmentally equal with others?
Why do you look at their physicality and see how developed the soul is?
Mm-hmm.
This is the mistake mankind makes.
We need a voice microphone adjustment. Thank you.
You're supposed to say sound. Or you should watch the Formula One. They say box is coming. So you say sound. I never. I saw Flint sending me messages. Sound. Yeah, but we look at the dimension of physicality of this. We don't look at it all. Shall we call it a day? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for today. And I hope and I pray for the soul of His Excellency, Mrs. Zarif in Washington, in New York, that he can be correct, not to be arrogant in the time of submission of defeat by those who accept defeat by trying to keep their face up, and be humble enough to invite your guest home. This is part of being Iranian and tradition. When we make up, invite our friends home for a dinner, we celebrate. We'll see.
Mr.
Thank you very
May I
much.
ask one question before you go?
Oh, this is the voice of God. Yes.
No. Why calcium by atomic mass is less than argon?
Who says?
If you go on periodic table, you will see.
I know, but who says?
That's a mistake. There is
Where are you looking at?
in a periodic table.
Do you believe everything you see? Now you know.
That's what I'm asking. Is it a fruit or
what is argon?
argon 39.94 or something? 1 minute. Okay.
You see, those of you who do not know, Armand is on the search very, very extensively in past couple of months. He has found periodic table, and he has found the key to something, and he's working on it.
But how come? And there is 2 elements more in a higher 91, 90 and 91. 91 is less than 90, actually.
Yeah, but you look at the top number. What is the top number?
Top number is 91.
Yeah.
But it's less than
No, I
90.
mean the other one, the electron count. No, you got to look at what is there.
And how come from calcium a number
You're
of
trying to find. You got
no,
trying
it's
to find the
interesting
soul of
for
the
me.
man.
No. It's
Oh, I will explain to you later on in your private teachings, which you get.
But can I ask you one more question? Why after calcium, neutrons are more? They're not equal as the protons.
Because they're the balancers. They feel the fact separation needs to be. Neutrons are spacers.
But more heavier it goes, then the neutrons is more.
Yes, because you need separation. It's what I call the police officer, keeping things apart, not to collide.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
This
you
is
very
such
much.
a part of life.
No, it's interesting. I'm looking totally different.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for today. We carry on. As I said, we hope we reach. We don't hope. We know humanity has reached the point of peace. And at the same time, you got to understand the whole of humanity has paid a lot to be at this point in different ways. And maybe in time we have to forgive and forget. I mean, in time we don't need to forget, but we need to forgive. But this is very hard for a lot of us. And in so many ways, we need to support as well. Those who made this step forward for all of us. People like President Xi of China, Putin of Russia, and Iranian President, and so on. They all have worked in different ways to sure that nobody dies. And this needs a lot of commitment to peace. Somebody's microphone is open now, which I can't hear. In so many ways, we need to support these, as I said. We support things. And at the same time, maybe through this harsh time of thousands of years for mankind, we have learned enough to walk away from conflict. We have started the process. There shall be no more war. At the same time, do we need to create wars when we go in other dimensions as a part of the structure of our memory? How can we raise it? And that's why we need to change the soul of the man. That is never there, that in my soul of the man manifests itself, even within the soul of the creator. Thank you very much. A happy birthday to Caroline. I serve humanity and sometimes. And hopefully we see you next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We could sing happy birthday to Carolina if we wanted to. Anybody for that?
Happy birthday. From somebody she doesn't know. This is an anonymous voice.
Well, we could.
Yes. You calling me?
Well,
we just told you happy birthday.
We were just going to
Oh.
sing you happy birthday, but we have to get the microphones open here. And we tried that before, and it wasn't really harmonious exactly, but we could always try again here.
But I have to tell you, it's a very important birthday. By the Chinese law, it's a new cycle of life after 60 years. She's 60 years today. Sorry about that. I wasn't supposed to say that. You never give the age of a woman away, but everybody knows about you anyway.
I was going to say she just turned 40 and just leave it at that, but okay.
No, she starts a new cycle.
Mr. Keshe, we are 60 for 14 days at the same time. So that's a celebration.
God help the humanity. Thank you very much. And see you next week and happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday, dear Carolina.
Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.
Something like that.
Hooray!
Hooray. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Thank you, everybody. See you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, Mr. Keshe, Carolina, and all the knowledge seekers around the universe for the 285th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 18th, 2019. And I believe Flint will take us out. Thank you, Flint, for being there as well today.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. KesheFoundation.org/donate